Some words don't just speak to you, they shift the very rhythm of your life. They don't ask for your agreement. They resonate. They stir something deeper than thought. A memory without origin. A knowing without proof. That's how ancient wisdom works. But what if I told you that this isn't just poetic language or mysticism from a distant past? What if I told you that the very chair you sit on, the thoughts in your mind, even the time you feel slipping through your fingers, all of it is vibration, measurable and malleable? Modern physics confirms it. Quantum mechanics reveals that matter, in its deepest essence, is not solid but vibrating energy. What looks like a table, a wall, your hand, all of it is made of atoms. And atoms, as physicist Richard Feynman famously pointed out, are mostly empty space with particles moving in constant vibration. The solidity we perceive is simply a slowed-down frequency. Everything that appears fixed is in fact moving. Everything vibrates. Now pause with me here. This isn't just an academic observation. This truth holds practical weight. Your body, your emotions, your thoughts all emit energy, each with its own frequency. Electroencephalograms, EEGs, can measure your brain's electrical patterns. Heart rate variability, HRV, shows the coherence or chaos of your emotional state. And researchers at the HeartMath Institute have shown that the human heart produces an electromagnetic field measurable several feet outside the body. Your body is not just alive, it is broadcasting. But here's where philosophy breathes life into science. If everything is vibration, then reality isn't something we just walk through. It's something we influence with every breath, every thought, every word. Your frequency is like the tuning dial of an old radio. Tune into chaos and chaos responds. Tune into peace, and the world around you begins to echo it. Most people spend their days unaware of this dial, unknowingly stuck in a frequency of fear, scarcity, or regret. They try to fix the world around them, change the furniture of life without realizing their signal hasn't shifted. Imagine a violin, finely tuned, playing alongside an out-of-tune cello. The dissonance is immediate, but retune the cello, and suddenly the harmony returns. That's your life. When your internal frequency is misaligned, everything around you feels off, relationships break down, the body aches, decisions grow cloudy. But when you retune within, the outer world starts to organize itself differently, not magically, but predictably. The ancient philosopher Thoth referred to this misalignment as an invisible prison, a cage not of bars, but of unnoticed vibration. He didn't write his wisdom for mass consumption. He carved it into stone for those ready to remember, because at some point you already knew this. You felt it. In moments of stillness, clarity, awe. You knew that there was more to life than meets the eye. You sensed the pattern beneath the noise. And maybe now, later in life, with the distractions quieted and the noise of urgency behind you, you feel the call to come back to that knowing. So here is the invitation. Begin to observe your vibration. Not just your thoughts, but the tone of your being. Is it hurried? Heavy? Is it soft, expansive? Take note when your breath shortens or your shoulders tense. That is the body's way of telling you your frequency is dipping. You don't need fancy technology to measure it. Just awareness. Just breath. Start each morning by asking, what am I emitting right now? Because life doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to what you are. And what you are is what you vibrate. Here's something practical you can do right now. Place your hand over your chest. Breathe in for a count of 4. Hold for 4. Exhale for 6. Repeat. This simple act lowers cortisol, brings heart and brain into coherence, and recenters your frequency. You are retuning the instrument. Walk slowly through your home afterward. Notice how different the room feels, not because it changed, but because you did. You don't need to become someone else to raise your vibration. You need only return to your natural state, the one that existed before the noise, before the rush. That frequency is still there, waiting. And once you find it, the world begins to feel different. Not because the world changed, but because you finally remembered how to listen. You don't experience the world as it is. You experience the world as you are. This idea, while poetic, is not a metaphor, it is measurable. Science now confirms that consciousness is not simply a byproduct of the brain but an active participant in shaping reality. At Princeton University, researchers at the Pear Lab conducted over 2 decades of experiments showing that focused human intention can influence the behavior of random number generators, tiny machines built to simulate pure randomness. These weren't mystics or monks. These were engineers, physicists, people grounded in the scientific method. What they found shattered traditional thinking. Our minds emit a measurable influence on the external world. And this is where philosophy and science begin to dance. Your consciousness doesn't just sit back and observe life, it tunes into it like a radio signal, selecting the frequency that shapes your experience. Picture it like walking into a room full of radios, each broadcasting a different version of reality. One station plays fear, another broadcasts possibility, a third hums with peace. Which one you hear depends entirely on where your inner dial is set. And here's the most fascinating part. This dial is not fixed. It shifts every time you choose a thought, every time you believe something new, every time you breathe with awareness instead of reacting on autopilot. If you wake up dreading the day, if your inner narrative is one of defeat or regret, your field aligns with that story and pulls experiences to match. But if you pause, even just for a moment, and tune inward, if you replace worry with curiosity, if you speak gratitude aloud, your frequency rises. You begin to tune into a new version of life already unfolding around you. This isn't abstract theory. It's how your nervous system works. Neuroscientist Dr. Joe Dispenza explains that your thoughts activate neural circuits, your emotions release corresponding chemicals, and together they create your state of being. Over time, if you repeat a certain mental-emotional pattern, your body memorizes it. You become so familiar with stress or fear or frustration that you start living it without even noticing. That's why many people feel like their past never leaves them. Not because the past is still happening, but because their frequency has not yet changed. To change your experience, you must change your broadcast. And that change begins with awareness. Ask yourself now, what thoughts am I choosing? What emotions am I rehearsing? What beliefs am I wearing like second skin? Begin by observing them, not with judgment, but with gentle curiosity. Because once you see the pattern, you can shift it. Here's a simple, practical way to begin. Each morning, before reaching for your phone, place your feet flat on the floor. Close your eyes. Breathe deeply and ask, what do I want to feel today? Not what you want to do or achieve, but how you want to feel. Peaceful? Energized? Grateful? Hold that feeling in your heart like a tuning fork. That 1 minute can change the trajectory of your entire day because it begins the process of energetic alignment. Remember, the world does not deliver peace so you can feel peaceful. You feel peaceful and then the world mirrors it back. And it doesn't take years of practice. Even a few minutes of conscious awareness a day can begin to shift your field. A change in consciousness is a change in vibration, and a change in vibration is a change in life. You may be in the same house, with the same people, the same routine, but suddenly things begin to feel different. That's not coincidence. That's coherence. That's your consciousness tuning into a higher frequency. And when that happens, the universe doesn't just notice, it responds. So I invite you today to become the one who tunes rather than reacts. Not because it's easy, but because it's yours to do. You have earned the wisdom of age, the stillness of presence, the clarity of hindsight. Use it. Turn inward. Adjust the signal. Reality, after all, has been waiting for you to notice. It's not fixed, it's fluid. And the dial is in your hands. If your body is a symphony of vibrating cells, then your emotions are the music that fills the concert hall. They are not just fleeting moods or reactions. They are frequencies, each with their own weight, color, and consequence. Science has caught up with what ancient philosophers always knew, that emotions shape the physical world around us by shaping the field within us. Your emotional state is not confined to your mind. It reverberates through your body and into the space around you. Take, for example, the studies conducted by Dr. Candace Pert, a neuroscientist and pharmacologist who discovered that emotions are stored in the body as chemical messengers called neuropeptides. These are not abstract ideas. These molecules bind to receptors throughout your entire nervous system, influencing not just how you feel but how your immune system responds, how your heart beats, how your cells divide. When you feel guilt, grief, or fear for extended periods, your vibration lowers, and your biology reflects that shift. Inflammatory markers rise. Heart rhythms become erratic. Sleep becomes shallow. Conversely, when you experience gratitude or love, your heart's rhythm synchronizes in what scientists call coherence, and your entire body begins to function in harmony. The HeartMath Institute has measured this coherence with stunning clarity, showing how a calm and grateful heart sends a signal to the brain that enhances clarity, decision-making, and even immune strength. This is not just pleasant news, it is powerful knowledge. It means you are not a prisoner of circumstance. You are an architect of reality, and your most powerful building material is the emotion you choose to sustain. Imagine this: you're sitting by a fire, and every thought you think is a log you throw into it. Now ask yourself, are you feeding it with what's soaked in resentment, fear, or doubt? Or are you fueling it with dry, steady logs of peace, trust, and clarity? Because the fire will burn either way, but only one kind will warm your home. This is why changing your thinking alone is never enough. You may tell yourself you are okay, but if deep inside your emotional state contradicts that message, your field reflects the truth of your feeling, not the mask of your words. And the universe listens not to what you say, but to what you vibrate. To change what you experience, you must feel differently, and to feel differently, you must first allow yourself to feel honestly. Begin by becoming emotionally literate. Instead of labeling emotions as good or bad, see them as signals. What is fear telling you to notice? What is resentment asking you to release? What is gratitude urging you to expand? Feel your feelings fully, then guide them gently. Don't repress. Don't explode. Instead, breathe through them. Ask yourself, what frequency do I wish to hold today? And let your actions reflect that choice. Play music that stirs joy. Speak with someone who brings lightness. Write a letter of forgiveness even if you never send it. Each of these small actions shifts your emotional state and lifts your vibration. You may be wondering if this really makes a difference at your age. It does. In fact, it matters more now than ever. As we grow older, the brain becomes more reflective and pattern-based. You have the wisdom of decades. That means you also have deeply ingrained emotional habits, some helpful, some not. But neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself, does not disappear with age. Dr. Norman Doidge and others have shown that even in our 70s and 80s, new neural pathways can be formed through consistent emotional and mental practice. It is never too late to change your frequency. It is never too late to change your life. Start today. Each time you feel overwhelmed, place your hand on your heart and breathe slowly. Feel the rhythm. Whisper to yourself, "This is where I begin again." Your field is always listening. Your biology is always adapting. And reality is always responding. You are not broken. You are becoming. And your emotions are the compass that guides the journey. Let them point you toward peace. Let them shape a life that reflects the calm, the strength, and the wholeness already within you. There is a rhythm to everything in life, and when that rhythm is broken, you feel it immediately. You may not have the words for it, but the body knows. It speaks in tight shoulders, in restless sleep, in the quiet sense that something is off even when nothing obvious is wrong. Ancient philosophers believed that balance was the natural state of the universe, and now science agrees. From the orbit of planets to the beat of your heart, everything seeks homeostasis. Your body is always trying to return to center, to a state of equilibrium where systems align and energy flows freely. When you feel calm and grounded, it is not an accident. It is your biology and your spirit working together in harmony. But when you are emotionally overwhelmed, physically exhausted, or mentally scattered, it is not just discomfort you feel. It is a message that your internal frequency has shifted out of sync. Think of a tuning fork vibrating at its natural pitch. When you strike it against a surface, it rings true. But if the fork is bent or damaged, the sound becomes distorted. The same is true of your own field. Emotional imbalance distorts the clarity of your vibration, and distorted vibration attracts chaos. Studies in psychoneuroimmunology show that chronic stress weakens the immune system, disrupts hormone production, and increases inflammation throughout the body. This is not just about feeling better. It is about functioning better. Dr. Bruce Lipton, a cell biologist, demonstrated that our environment, including our emotional environment, directly affects how our genes express themselves. In other words, how you feel doesn't just reflect your life. It shapes your biology. So the question is not whether balance matters. The question is how to return to it. And the answer is simpler than we often believe. Balance does not require complexity. It requires presence. Begin by letting go of the idea that peace must be earned. It must only be remembered. A simple practice is to pause every hour and scan your body. Are you holding your breath? Are your shoulders raised? Is your jaw tight? These are signs that you've slipped away from center. Don't judge yourself. Just soften. Exhale slowly. Breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth. Imagine your breath as a gentle wave smoothing the shore. This small act reactivates your parasympathetic nervous system, lowering your heart rate and calming your mind. The science is clear. Even 2 minutes of deep breathing can shift your nervous system from fight or flight to rest and repair. That shift is a return to balance. Another powerful tool is silence. Not the absence of sound, but the absence of noise. Turn off the television for a moment. Set the phone aside. Step outside. Listen to the birdsong or the rustle of wind through trees. Let your senses recalibrate. Nature doesn't rush, yet everything gets done. The natural world operates in harmony, and when you reconnect with it, your own internal systems begin to mirror that state. Walk barefoot in the grass. Feel the coolness of the earth. Studies in grounding, also known as earthing, show that direct contact with the Earth's surface can reduce inflammation, improve sleep, and regulate cortisol levels. These are not spiritual metaphors. These are biological responses. When your life feels chaotic, the temptation is to fix what's outside. But the lasting solution is to realign what's inside. Ask yourself each day, what am I holding on to that no longer serves me? What emotion, what thought, what expectation? Let it go gently, like leaves falling from a tree. Not because it's wrong, but because it's no longer aligned with the frequency you wish to sustain. Replace it with something simpler, a daily ritual, quiet moment, a kind word spoken with intention. These are acts of vibrational stability. Balance does not come from doing more. It comes from doing less of what pulls you away from your center. If you find yourself overwhelmed by information, step back into embodiment. Move your body slowly. Prepare a meal with care. Speak to a loved one without needing to solve anything. These are sacred actions, not because they are extraordinary, but because they are grounded. They bring you home to yourself. And when you are home in yourself, life no longer feels like something to survive. It becomes something to harmonize with. So today, choose simplicity. Choose breath. Choose presence. Not for the world's sake, but for your own. Because your frequency, when balanced, becomes a tuning fork for others. And your calm becomes their invitation to return to peace. There is a current moving through you right now, though you may not feel it. It's not your blood, though that too moves with rhythm. It is something more subtle, something ancient, something that civilizations across time and culture have pointed to. A stream of vital energy that flows through your body like an invisible river. In Chinese medicine, it is called qi. In Indian traditions, it is known as prana. The Egyptians, whose wisdom shaped so much of early science and philosophy, called it the current of life. And modern science is beginning to confirm what the ancients intuited, that the body is not just a machine made of flesh and organs but a dynamic field of energy. Dr. Hiroshi Motoyama, a scientist and yogi, developed devices to measure changes in electrical conductance along traditional acupuncture meridians, showing that energy pathways long mapped by Eastern medicine correspond to physiological responses in the nervous system. These subtle currents are not imagination. They are part of your biology, your vitality, your consciousness. And like rivers that can be dammed or diverted, these channels can become blocked, sluggish, or imbalanced over time. Think about the last time you felt foggy, anxious, or inexplicably tired even after a full night's sleep. That wasn't just mental or emotional. It was energetic. Just as clogged arteries reduce blood flow and lead to disease, Blocked energy pathways reduce the flow of life force and lead to confusion, fatigue, and emotional heaviness. Your thoughts may be clear, your intentions strong, but if the energy beneath them isn't moving, you feel stuck. That's why it's possible to say all the right affirmations and still attract frustration. The frequency behind the words matters more than the words themselves. You may be trying to walk forward, but dragging invisible weights behind you. To move freely, you must release the blockages. And that begins with awareness. Your breath is the most powerful key. Not shallow chest breathing, but deep, conscious breath that fills the body and signals to the nervous system that it is safe. This activates the vagus nerve, which governs the body's rest and digest response and has been shown to reduce inflammation, lower heart rate, and restore emotional balance. Studies from Harvard and Stanford have both shown that slow, diaphragmatic breathing can shift brainwave states, moving you from stress-driven beta to calmer alpha and even theta waves associated with deep meditation and creativity. This is not spiritual speculation. It is measurable change. So begin simply. 3 times a day, close your eyes and breathe in for 4 counts. Hold for 4, exhale for 6. As you do, imagine that breath flowing through your spine, clearing the cobwebs, warming the cold corners of your body. Picture it like sunlight moving through a frozen river, slowly thawing and restoring motion. Movement is another form of medicine. Gentle stretching, walking with awareness, even raising your arms to the sky while breathing deeply, all of these signal to your energy body that it is time to awaken. You don't need to run marathons or do complex yoga poses. You only need to move with intention. Every step, every lift of the hand becomes a message to your cells that life is moving again. And where energy moves, life heals. Silence, too, is an activator. In stillness, the background noise fades and you begin to feel your inner current. Set aside 5 minutes a day to do nothing but sit, eyes closed, back straight, palms open. Listen, not to the world, but to your field. What do you notice? Where does the energy feel tight or closed? Where does it feel light? This listening is an ancient practice found in monasteries and temples, but it belongs in our homes as well. Costs nothing, requires no belief, and yet it reawakens everything. You are not just a body aging through time. You are a field of energy organizing itself into form. And the more freely that energy moves, the more alive you become. This is why some people in their 60s or 70s seem vibrant and magnetic, while others feel heavy or dim long before their time. The difference is not luck. It is flow. And flow is something you can choose. Not all at once, but gently, consistently. Begin today with breath, with movement, with silence. Let your energy begin to circulate, because when your inner rivers run clear, life meets you with clarity. And what once felt stuck begins, at last, to move.